Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am Joey Francis, your life, love, and relationship coach. Thank you so much for joining me. So, this week, we're going to touch base again on what are you ready for and what do you want? And chances are we're going to do this quite a few times. But because of the events that happened, I figured let's talk about this again. So, last week, a gentleman reached out to me and he was a friend of a friend of a friend. And just for the purpose of the story, we'll call him John or Johnny, whichever rolls off the tongue easier for me. He came to me asking where to find women and how to find women and things of that nature. See, he's been in a relationship for almost 4 years. I don't know the details of why it ended, which I'm not going to lie, I'm very curious about, but I didn't pry. But asking, what are you ready for? And he essentially told me I'm ready to get into something serious. I, really love being in a relationship. I want to find my person and, all the things of that nature. But then I asked him, how long have you been single for? Well, the answer may surprise you, or maybe it won't, but it was 2 weeks. So he was with someone for almost 4 years. And he's been single for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden he's ready for another relationship. And in my eyes, this is somebody that is most definitely not ready for a relationship, even if their relationship was on the rocks for a number of like weeks, months, or even a year, and you've been thinking about it and contemplating it, because actually making the decision, taking the step, and pushing yourself into the unknown, it's a big step. It's a very, very big step. And the fact that you've waited a whole 2 weeks before realizing, like, hey, wait a minute, I kind of need somebody in my life. Well, there's a problem. There's a big problem. You obviously haven't figured your shit out yet. I digress. I asked him why he thinks he's ready. And essentially, he told me that he thought he was ready because he wasn't that heartbroken over leaving his last girlfriend. And it's like, okay, but why were you with her then for so long? Like, why doesn't it bother you? Again, he never really got into the details, and I think he was like holding back on purpose. But that's fine. If someone's not comfortable saying something, that's perfectly okay by me. Comfort and safety is number one. But anyways, he told me that he loved her a lot, but they parted ways, and that was that. And he's ready for something. And I asked again, okay, but why do you think you're ready? Like, you haven't even necessarily processed what has just happened. And he couldn't really answer me, which fine. I mean, in reality, there's no right or wrong answer. It's something that you have to know within yourself. But this is the thing. If you're not self-aware of what you're feeling and what you're going through, this is where you're bound to make mistakes. Because in his case, he's essentially looking for someone to fill that hole in his life where she used to be. And I tell this to everybody, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, but if you're looking for someone to fill a hole, there's a problem, because you're literally going to date based on resume, based on your needs. And this is where knowing what you want, and more importantly, having a good idea of what you don't want, comes into play. Because if we find someone that has a lot of the things that we're looking for, well, great, lock it down, sign the paper, let's do this. But you're completely forgetting the other half of it, of all the things that you don't want and whether they have those things or not. And in a lot of cases, because we're in a rush, because we want to feel whole again, because we want to feel something again, we jam that person into that hole, only to find out weeks, months, even years later that, oh, you know what? They have this. I don't want it. Do they have that? I don't want that. And now we start resenting them. And it's not their fault. They are who they are. It's our fault. It's our own fault for choosing said person. And I explained it to this gentleman and saying that, you know, maybe it's best that you take some time and figure out the things that you want and figure out the things that you don't want. Oh yeah, prior to that, I asked them, what are you looking for? What are the things you don't want? And he said, you know, I'd be happy with someone similar to that I was dating. And it's like, well, if you find somebody similar, you know, chances are the same things are going to happen, right? And again, he wouldn't tell me what happened, but that's fine. So again, I told him, go figure your stuff out. Go figure out the things you want and the things you don't want, and figure out what you're ready for and with whom. That is a big, big ask. Because once you figure those things out, once you become self-aware in this case, this is where you can build long-lasting relationships based on a solid foundation. Because foundation is everything. If you're looking to date someone for a specific reason to fill a hole, well, you're going to accept anything that comes along, and that puts you in a very vulnerable state. Now, you might not think it does because you're like, keep it at arm's length. You know, I'm not going to necessarily open up to them because I'm not ready to. I can't be vulnerable with them, so I'm not going to get hurt. But they're not going to be the ones that necessarily hurt you. It's the fact that they're gone and that hole is back is what's going to hurt you. So it's not them specifically. It's what they're leaving. Now, if you work on yourself and essentially make yourself happy and are okay with the idea of you being alone, let me rephrase that. If you are okay with the idea of you being single, because alone is completely different. And I would hope that we all have friends and family that we can lean on when we need to. But being single, then you create a superpower to be able to pick and choose what's right and what's proper for you, as opposed to just taking whatever comes along because it's convenient and it, you know, does the job. Even though we have no idea what that job is, because at some point, things are going to change. Now, moving on from that, tell you another story about a woman. Now, this woman is divorced. She has a couple of kids. And in speaking with her, she straight up told me, again, this is a friend of a friend, and I was essentially talking to her as a favor to the friend. She told me straight out, I just want someone to take care of me. I don't care. And it's like, okay, well, that's just a really nice way of saying that you're a gold digger. And I don't care if who has anything to say about that. You're a gold digger, because her idea of taking care of is someone that essentially paid bills for her, someone that, you know, takes care of the house, takes her out, treats her, buys her things. That was her idea of taking care of her, because I asked. Now, that idea of taking care of is different amongst so many other people, you know, because some people are like, well, you know, if there's an apocalypse, I want a guy that's outdoorsy and can, like, you know, hunt and fish and make sure that the zombies ain't going to eat me. And then there's other people that are like, well, you know, I enjoy renovations and things of that nature, but I don't know how to do things. So I would really like a guy that is very handy and is able to, you know, do things with his hands and fix and build. And then there's, you know, other people that their idea of that is like the guys that, you know, barbecue and cut the lawn and take care of those things. And vice versa, because don't get me wrong, there's a lot of guys out there that have that same idea that they want a woman to take care of them, you know, one sexually, and then others like clean house, dinner on the table, things of that nature. And in all of these ideas, these relationships become very transactional. So Now it's, what am I getting for my time? And if both parties are playing by that, someone's going to get hurt. So with this woman that I talked to, she didn't necessarily come to me. It was more that I was brought to her. But regardless, she told me straight out she doesn't care. She wants a guy with money that's going to take care of her, has a nice house, going to pay the bills, all that stuff. And I said to her, I'm like, maybe you need to like go to therapy and figure your shit out. Because from the stories I've heard from her and even talking to her, she was still very, very, very hung up on her ex-husband. And I guess in her eyes, no man would ever add up to being like him. So she's already written off the idea of love, the idea of that kind of attraction, and, all that stuff. Well, fast forward a little bit, and she ends up coming across someone that I know through other people. And I, gotten told the story. I catch wind of it. Now, she found out that he's divorced, but he does very well for himself. And she essentially threw herself at him. And I mean, literally, like, she went to his house. Like, they met through, intermediary, let's say. And right away, she's like messaging him and calling him and talking to him. And he works in finance. So she was like, oh, maybe you can have a look at, my stuff and blah, blah, blah. And then she ended up going to his house. And that day, that first real time meeting, she, let's say she serviced him orally. And it's like, okay, because, you know nothing about this person. And granted, if you want to stick things in your mouth because you enjoyed sticking things in your mouth, like, all the power to you. I'm not judging. But if you're going to a person's house, seeing that they are, fairly well off, have nice things, and now all of a sudden you want to put things in your mouth, there's a bit of a difference there, right? So she, yeah. And so a relationship of sorts grew from that. And this is literally like over the past like month. She would continuously go over there and service him. Not so much with the mouth anymore, like things escalated. And it just got to a point where she wanted to, like, hey, like, are you going to take me out? Are you going to, like, show me a good time? Are you going to take care of me? And his answer was no. No. As in, like, no. Oh, this is what this was. Like, you threw yourself at me. Like, what? What more do I have to do? I already got the goods. And essentially, it's like, again, this is another one of my sayings. Like, sometimes, if you give the milk for free, no one's going to buy the cow. And that's kind of like what happened in this scenario. And I know this might sound mean, but you know what? Good for her. I'm glad that she's getting a taste of her own medicine, because she doesn't know this guy. She barely knew him before she stuck things in her mouth. She barely knew him before essentially, like, taking her clothes off type of thing. And she got mad. She got mad at that. She got very angry with him and essentially said, like, okay, well, you're not going to do my banking for me and blah, 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 because this is all that I was worth to you. And it's like, well, this is what you made your worth out to be. And she has this idea in her head where it's like, I am going to, go out, find guys. And if I like have sex with them and shower them with attention, they're going to give me everything I want. And I need to tell people a message right now. Men do stupid things, 1,000,000%. But inherently, men are not stupid. If you think that you're going to go out there and use somebody for their money or whatever the case is. And you know what? This goes both ways for men and women. But if you think you're going to go out there and use somebody for whatever, they're going to catch on. And chances are they're going to catch on quickly. See, you have to remember, we're not talking about teenagers. We're not talking about people in their 20s. And in this case, we're not even talking about people in their 30s. We're talking about people in their 40s. She's 46, I believe, or 45, something like that. And he's in his late 40s, 49, I believe. You've been around the world a few times. You've lived a life. You have experiences. You've heard stories from countless people, aside from all the shit that's spewed online, my shit included. You're not going to be as, naive as people think you are. And this woman, granted, I honestly really don't like her. And she just really rubs me the wrong way, especially with the whole, I don't care how old he is. I don't care how young he is. I don't care really what he looks like. If he's even half decent, it's fine. I just want him to take care of me. And it's like, you are literally telling me you want to be a prostitute. And hey, listen, if that's your choice, fine, go and do that. My problem is there's going to be a poor guy. And this is the whole reason why this particular woman rubs me the wrong way, is because she was dating a guy who genuinely liked her. Now, he wasn't the best off financially, and he was living in an apartment, and he didn't have a flashy car. And I heard stories of her constantly berating him. Now, listen, I get it. If you're the one that's accepting this behavior, it's on you to walk away, not for the other person. But this guy just wanted to be loved. He just wanted to have somebody. And what did he get instead? He got this woman that, made fun of him. And this is while dating him, which again blows my mind because, my number one deal breaker red flag is I only like people who like me. So if somebody was going to talk ill of me or berate me or make fun of me, then you're obviously not for me. It's that simple. And that should be for everybody. We can get into that in another episode, and I would love to. But people aren't stupid. People are not stupid. There are stupid people out there, but generally speaking, people aren't stupid. And if you think that you're going to get away with something, you might this time, but next time you might not. And it's going to suck and it's going to hurt. And at least in this woman's case, I guarantee she felt like a piece of her died with this situation. Because from what I've known, she wasn't really like that type of person. But because of, media and things of that nature, where if you want a guy to like buy you nice gifts and give you nice things, you got to give up the cookie. And that's exactly what she did. And she got nothing in the end of it. And I hope to God that she learns her lesson and really, thinks about her life choices going forward. Not to mention the role model that she's setting for her daughters, because I think she has 2 daughters. So just to recap, talking about being ready. And you know what? It actually works with both stories, because what she wanted at the end, or what she was ready for, wasn't actually, no, strike that. Being ready is very important, because you could be trying to fill a hole that you should fix and repair yourself prior to bringing anybody into your life. Essentially, that in the basic ways of saying it, if you are looking for someone to make you happy, it is now that person's job to make themselves happy as well as you happy. That's not going to last. That's going to be a burden on them. And at some point, they're going to burn out, and you're going to end up getting hurt from it. And they're going to end up getting hurt from it as well. You need to be able to make yourself happy first before you should bring someone else into your life. Or you should be a happy person before you bring someone into your life. And then knowing what you want and what you don't want. Again, every single person on this planet is entitled to want whatever it is that they want. Now, whether they get it or not, that's a completely different story. But here's the thing, especially in like the story I just told. When you want something that's, let's say, a little nefarious, a little unfair, so to speak, this is what's going to end up happening to you, because people are not stupid. So if you want to go out there and purposely take advantage of people, guess what? At the end of the day, you're the one that's going to end up taking advantage of, because you're going to give to get what you think you deserve. And at the end, they're just not going to give it to you. And again, this goes both ways for men and for women. It's not just, women, looking for guys to take care of them. So with that being said, that's pretty much it, really, at the end of the day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Is that it? Is that it? I think there was something else that I wanted to say. I'm just like trying to look at my notes. I think that was it. Yeah, I think that's it. So again, figure out what you're looking for and what you want. Make sure you know what you're ready for. That's the big one. Make sure you know that you're not looking to just replace a body or fill a hole, or even doing it out of fear. I should have mentioned that one too. Even doing it out of fear, because you're just going to accept the wrong thing. You're going to accept the first thing that comes and that satisfies those particular needs, regardless of the consequences you have to pay after the fact. And just, have a good idea of what you want and what you don't want, and be genuine. Be genuine. Remember, this is what I wanted to say. There's the golden rule, right? Treat others how you want to be treated. That goes when it comes to dating as well. I will get more into that next time. Thank you so much for listening. I honestly really, really appreciate it. If you have any questions for me, or if you have any podcast ideas, you can reach me at joeyfrances@gmail.com, or you can go to my website, joeyfrances.com, joeyfrances.com. And there you can fill out a form and reach me there as well. Please share this with your family and your friends. I hope that it's entertained you. I hope you enjoy it. And I hope to see you next time. Remember, love yourself first and confidently choose what's best for you. Goodbye.